This is the cipher for possibly that Winds of Winter is finished. The new Nada blog is simply a picture of William Faulkner and a blue rose with the title of Words of Wisdom. And at first glance, so I saw on the internet, I'm going to give you the update. This is great because usually me and Matt join the call. We both have seen the most recent news. We kind of both have an idea. So Matt's never heard this conspiracy theory yet. And we all know the conspiracy theories in this fandom are the best. When you look at this, you think, okay, well, George posted William Faulkner, an author that he has drawn a lot of inspiration from in his techniques of dealing with themes and everything else, right? But then you start to think about this post a little bit more. Titled Words of Wisdom. Words of Wisdom. Winds of Winter. Words of Wisdom. A blue rose has a lot of significance in our story, does it not? And then the quote from William Faulkner he shares is, dreams have only one owner at a time. That's why dreamers are lonely. His current mood is contemplative, and the tags are dreams and writing. So one thing I think we can say is that he's obviously writing, but here's where the conspiracy theory comes in, Matt. Are you ready? So obviously, Words of Wisdom, the initials there could be Winds of Winter. I think this one's a bit loose, but also the quote being about dreams have only one owner at a time. That's why dreamers are lonely. A dream for spring, perhaps. Is something that people have speculated about. And one of the reasons, so at this point, right, I'm out. I'm like, okay, guys, we're going way too far. This is hard copium. And for the record, I don't mind these things because it doesn't cost anyone anything. Like there are some people get furious about this stuff. Like you're always reading into it. It's like, yeah, some of it is extraordinary.
Yes, we are.
But it doesn't cost us anything to get excited about. And in this life, I think that we should take all the advantages we can to have a good time and laugh about stuff, right? So with that said, I was like, all right, I'm out on this one, guys. This is silly. However, he has never tagged a post type dreams before, ever. And also, the blue rose is very weird to put at the top of this picture here. It doesn't make much sense of why it's there, except for the fact that we know about a blue rose north of the wall, growing out of the wall, and the symbolism that has in the books. The last time, this is where it gets fun. The last time George posted something like this, he posted a picture of King Kong and said, Kong is dead. And he was referring to King Kong, the monkey on his back, being Dance of Dragons. When he finished it, he tweeted that. And it was exactly 4 months after he met with his British publishers. The day this was posted was 4 months after he met with his British publishers this past summer or this past winter or fall, whatever. So that's where I said, okay, that's a little strange because me and you talked. We said, man, this British publishing thing, is he doing another cookbook? Like, what is it? Does it mean anything? And then you figure out that, 4 months went by. And there were people online that said, well, let's wait 4 months because that's what happened last time he went to his British publishers and announced it. So is this the hint that it's time for him to begin a dream for spring? Is he writing a dream for spring is my question.
Well, it would line up with our November 2024 prediction.
Oh, if I'm right, I'll be the most insufferable person. I will literally never not remind you that was an oracle.
That Jimmy has been calling. Yeah, here's the thing. When I pulled this up literally minutes before we hit record here, I actually did not notice the blue rose.
Very
so I just looked at the picture and I was like, oh, dreams, okay, one owner, one at a time, okay, I can get it, I can get behind that. And then you said the blue rose and I looked up and I was like, oh, okay, that kind of changes things, because that definitely, it's weird. certainly it is a George way of saying I'm doing something with the Winds of Winter. Whether he's just working on it or he's in a good place. It is kind of weird also, he doesn't really go that long without actually.
You said this last episode, you said it's been a while.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. He typically he won't go as long as he just did, which is like, months. I mean, went by, or not, like over a month went by. Excuse me. That he in between posts, like that's pretty rare for him. Even if it is just something like, hey, I watched this show, or I did this, or I did this. I mean, that's typically, that's kind of intriguing.
Yeah, there's a lot of little things about this that end up making a big takeaway that obviously we can get carried away and get too excited. And if I'm being honest with you, like it's probably nothing, but I choose to believe that this may be a bit of a just the whole dream thing and writing dreams and people, we call it wins, right? Wins coming. Soon we might be saying when's dreams coming? When is dream coming? And it
And
just feels like
I'm
there's
still very much in the camp that A Dream of Spring will not take nearly as long as Winds of Winter.
Yeah. Another thing I saw is that people are wondering if he has been convinced to split the book.
I think he I mean,
I think he should.
we've talked about this a bunch of times. He should split the books. He should just, because no one's gonna care that it was 8 books instead of 7. Like no one, like no
Nope.
the only person that would care is you. Like there is no 8 is just 9 is good. 10, I mean, like
The only problem that you get with this is that there's an artistic vision of like what this tale like, as a book contains, and he is so methodical and long-winded that his books tend to it takes a while to get to the point, right?
right.
And cutting that up, I'm fine with it. I would be fine with something that doesn't have a clear resolution, something like A Feast for Crows or A Dance with Dragons, right? But then you get a lot of opportunity for critics to say, well, it was great, but the ending kind of floundered. Like people did with The Feast for Crows. I mean, that was kind of the main criticism, is that they felt like the ending was kind of aimless and abrupt or whatever. So I see why he would like to keep it as like a 1,300 page book, but selfishly, and also for his confidence, I think releasing like a 500 or 600 page book every 4 or 5 years wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Right. Like, here's a question for you. Does anybody care that, I guess maybe this is a little different because it's like a prequel, but does anybody care that the Lord of the Rings saga is essentially 4 books instead of 3? Like 3 is a nicer number than 4 if you include the Hobbit.
I mean,
like
technically, The Lord of the Rings is one book, technically.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah, and then you have
I
But
think it's all semantics. I don't really care. It's like when I read Malazan Book of the Fallen, that's 10 humongous books. And Stephen Erickson, the author, said if he could, he would print it as one book.
Right.
He said he would love to have a book this big because it's one book. And it's like tales. It's tales and you're following them, then you should think of it as such. So I don't know. There's a lot about like what the author intends to consider it as a book, but also publishers and marketing and blah, 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 blah.
Or just release literally. I mean, maybe he just doesn't want to come up with another title. Like that is one of the nice things, is he has all these specific titles.
He's all out of titles. He's like, I'm finished.
Well, I mean, it's just like you've had these nice titles. You said forever, this is what it's going to be. And maybe he doesn't want to call it a Winds of Winter. If he did split it into 2 books of what we think, Winds of Winter is going to be, and the other thing, the little problem he has is that Winds of Winter would be a better title for the book before A Dream for Spring, not the book now. You know what I mean? Like everything that happens before you get to, like the White Walkers coming down or however, whatever, some semblance of what we saw in the show is what we think is what this book essentially has to end with, it regardless, is the threat of the North, of the White Walkers and the others, has to end this book to lead into the big final battle that will be the final thing. But the first half of this, I would title it something other than the Winds of Winter.